For those of you that know me, I've been saying Warzone is in the best state it has ever been in right now. And with Verdansk being back, there's also some people that are a little upset. And that's because streamers want Warzone to be more competitive. But I disagree. I think Warzone right now is in the best state it could possibly be. It doesn't need any changes. You don't need to change HDR. You don't need to change the health. And so I wanted to find a video that helps communicate all the things that I've been thinking and I can bounce off of. And I finally found that video. So we're going to sit down and hear the reactions of 4 fantastic creators that all agree with my stance. And you'll recognize some friendly faces here in this video. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. And make sure you guys follow my Twitch if you want to see these things live, because we do react all the time on stream to content and make videos. But without further ado, let's start the video. Also, gotta give a quick shout out to the channel who made this video, which is Catch Up Runner. Gonna drop him a sub and drop him a like. But let's check out the video, starting with, it looks like Jobo.
First, I do want to apologize for a lot of my content creator friends. A lot of content creators are just idiots, and they'll just complain for clicks.
Honestly, this is going to be a hot take. They need to not listen to streamers.
The worst thing that the developers could do right now is listen and make snap judgments, because
Tactical Brit.
Loud voices saying it needs to be quicker again.
I think they admitted to fucking up, and I think they're just going to do like live events like Verdansk kid. I think they're going to remove half the weapons. Honestly, this is going to be a hot take. They need to not listen to streamers.
Yep.
I think some streamers literally think that they know what the game needs, and it's completely wrong. And
they want it to be like Apex.
Got a lot of shit for it, but I think them listening to streamers and taking feedback from streamers pushed the game in a bad direction. Trying to make it a competitive game ruined it. I think the game is always competitive, but them trying to make an esport ruined it.
Yeah, like, you can have a competitive game without changing the game. Warzone will always be competitive in that sense. You don't need to go and stretch the lines and be like, okay, well, it needs more health. We need more recoil. We need like... No. What you had was already competitive. What you need to do is create ranked modes and create options that change it up. Not start changing what you already have.
One of the major issues that the game went down a wrong path was this game already has a super successful esports scene, right? Like,
yep.
Them
DDL
trying to make Warzone an esport is just like a meme, you know?
Indicating
example, they wanted in Warzone their a skill gap to be movement, right? Just like it is in Apex, but this is not Apex.
Now, I have seen some conversation about people thinking the game is too slow now, and they want the redeploy balloons back. They want the movement to be sped up. They want to be able to carry 12 players again.
The game is so perfect.
They want more chances to respawn. They think the game has got too slow. I think the worst thing that Call of Duty, the developers, could do right now is listen and make snap judgments, because there are some loud voices saying it needs to be quicker again. Put all these things back in the game again. That's the worst thing they could do. What they've done right now, in my opinion, if they stick with this and they build on it, they don't do anything crazy, if they stick with the foundation they've got now and establish that this is the core of Warzone, this is how Warzone feels, this is how it plays, make that baseline again so people have got an understanding of things, and don't do anything wacky and wild, the road ahead for the game is promising. But if they suddenly start making snap judgments and introduce swinging gameplay changes again, I don't think it's going to go down well. A lot of
I agree with Jack Frags across the board, and it's funny because I feel like every time Jack Frags or Tactical Brit make a video, because I pull them together because they're friends and they play a lot together, but I always agree. they always have like such good thought processes. Yes, sure, sometimes I disagree with little things, but for the most part, I usually see how they feel and can agree with what they're saying. And right now, Call of Duty should be making the game for everyone, but not catering to one audience in particular. The original Warzone was for everyone. Caldera started to be more for streamers. Warzone 2 was more for casual players. In any instance, they changed the game to be more for one party. The game started losing people or started feeling bland or feeling boring or just falling apart. By Modern Warfare 3, we were coming off of Modern Warfare 2 being very casual, and they were making it more for streamers again. And Black Ops 6 was just a fucking toss-up because they were working on this. So now that they have this base to work on, they need to keep this base. I'm okay with them adding a ranked play and adding more health in ranked play. Do not mess with this experience as a normal battle royale.
The good faith that they have restored is quickly going to go out the window. So I'm hoping that they stick to their guns and they carry this design philosophy going forward. Don't do anything crazy, Call of Duty. You've done good here. It's nice to see some positive sentiment for COD 2. That's not been around for a while. For me, if they stick like this, then Warzone is going to be a game that I play regularly again. I'm not going to play it as much as I used to in 2020, 2021, but it's a game that I can dip in and out of now. I'm quite enjoying trios. I'm enjoying solos. It's another option for me again, whereas last week, I wouldn't have even looked at it.
Now, first, I do want to apologize for a lot of my content creator friends, YouTubers, streamers, etc., that don't understand, I guess, the Warzone landscape. A lot of content creators are just respectfully idiots, and they'll just complain to complain for clicks, or they'll ask about stuff coming back into the game that nobody asked for except them, who is a 0.0001% player of the game. I miss when your life and how you played the game actually mattered. It shouldn't have been that you could just play the game brainless. Now you actually have to think about how you want to approach the game. You as a solo or as a team, rotate early, use vehicles, and I love that. I love that actually you have to value your life as a player, and I feel like there's kind of an open meta. Snipers, especially the HDR, is obviously insane because it can one-shot from anywhere. I think it's a good thing because more people that are playing the game again have a chance to kill anybody.
I will say, I don't think you should nerf the HDR. In fact, I think there should be more snipers buffed and more ARs buffed to match the snipers. That's the only thing I could think of where we are not on the same level right now as Warzone 1. A lot of ARs don't shoot with the same bullet velocity as Warzone 1. A lot of ARs are great, but really the ones that are the best are the brand new ones, which is obviously original Warzone 1 guns like the AMAX, the Kilo, the Graw. Like, we need more ARs to be on par bullet velocity wise without any like attachments, and then you can add attachments to make them better. So that's personally how I feel, is we need to see more guns step back to where they were. And that's including snipers other than the HDR and the Kar 98. Like, I really think we need the Kar 98. I also think the SPR is already in the files from Modern Warfare 2. Like, we have it. Let's just buff it. Like, let's take all the guns that are in the game, the RAL, like all those guns that we had in Warzone 1 at minimum, and buff them and bring them back to where they were. Just my thought. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if you think I'm wrong, if I'm crazy.
Can't just turn my brain off and fly around now, and that's definitely thrown a lot of people off because they are not used to that if they've played Warzone in the last 2 years. I think it'd be better to have Warzone as its own separate game and its own separate updates and stuff compared to multiplayer. Will COD do that? I doubt it, but I think long term that's the play.
Streamers and top 1% players have already started talking about things like
Tactical
balloons not being in the game, have already started complaining about the HDR being a one-shot, and are clearly struggling to adapt to the pacing that is a very, very realistic capture of what Warzone used to be. The early days of Verdansk weren't about flying around the map dropping 30, 40, 50 kills. It was about a tense sandbox-based experience that allowed you to do wacky, funny, and crazy things, and maybe you strung together a win, but it wasn't a given. A game that fundamentally let the bottom 1% of player challenge the top 1% of player if they did intelligent things like position themselves early. So seeing these complaints about the game feeling too slow, about there not being enough cash, not being enough plates, about Verdansk as a map feeling quiet or having too much downtime. The things that made the original Verdansk special and made it a sandbox first and a BR second is really, really key. We don't want to lose that essence, and we don't want to lose that feeling. The time to kill and one-shot snipers.
He's wording it so
mean that
perfectly.
everybody has a fair and reasonable chance to take on anybody, so long as they've taken up good positions. Taking away these drones mean that people can't just randomly leave the map and land somewhere else and drop on an entire squad, and you actually have to make methodical decisions around your rotations and use vehicles around you which are much easier to see and attract more attention. This means that teams have to be a bit more intelligent and move a little bit more quickly, and you can be punished for your mistakes in terms of positioning. And if you do decide to use a vehicle, it makes it painstakingly obvious to the entire lobby that you are roaming around the place, and I think that's a huge bonus. And I've seen some people complain about there not being an indicator, and I will be perfectly honest with you, I thought this was a terrible change when they announced it. But you know what? I was damn well wrong. Not having an airstrike indicator and positional indicator.
I gotta take that in. I thought the same thing. I thought them removing the precision airstrike like indicator was a bad choice. It was a great choice. It was a great choice because yes, it made it more competitive to know where the precision was going, so you can think through what you're doing. Bro, it makes it so much better.
Means that the fear factor is back for airstrikes, and they actually make teams move and make squads get mobile again compared to what they have done before. And it honestly just feels fairly balanced. It feels like people actually have an opportunity to get kills in places that they previously couldn't have, and it puts more emphasis on positioning. By reducing the skill gap in the current environment that they have right now, it feels as though casual players have more of a chance, and it brings so much more of them back to the game. Now, yes, I do think there could be a handful more plates, but actually having to think about what you're looting and what you're bringing into endgame and how you could buy a plate box or pick up some useful resources to benefit yourself in these final circles feels like a huge positive, and again is a complaint that I think we're seeing online from the top 1% of players that should just be completely ignored. The reality is that this is the purest version of Warzone that most people enjoyed, the vast majority of people enjoyed. Worst thing I can picture and the worst thing that I can imagine is Call of Duty starts re-catering to these movement sweats, the top 1%,
Please
the comp
don't.
players, and the streaming players who want these more competitive environments, because it takes away the fun of Verdansk and it takes away the fun of Warzone in the process. Warzone right now is the most fun I think it's been since it originally released, and I think it's the most fun for the majority of people. We don't need to force more balanced environments on players and try and give these, huge competitive balancing passes to the game, because there's a space for that now, and it's ranked play.
Yep.
Ranked play is a different world, a different environment, a different set of rules, and if we don't want one-shot snipers, and we don't want certain X, Y, Z, A, B, C pieces of equipment, and maybe if we want more health, then use the ranked play environment to fuel that. Don't subject the entire player base to what a slither of the player base wants, even though they are core and most engaged.
If they stick with the foundation,
This was like spot on, straight up. The only thing I think that needs to change right now is the map, like making small changes where we have, POIs updated, POIs destroyed, like so on and so forth. Fortnite level changes. Maybe we have some remasters of classic multiplayer maps be dropped onto Verdansk. I think that would be cool. But I don't want to see grandiose changes to the core mechanics of the game. Obviously, buffs and nerfs are going to happen, and I'm fine with that. Like, for instance, the AK-74 right now, way too strong at close range. No AR should beat a submachine gun at close range. It just shouldn't happen. And currently, the AK does that. So it's actually a top pick for close range over a submachine gun like the MP5 or the SOG or the KSV, and that's an issue. So they need to work on stuff like that. But overall, game's in a great place. Let me know if you guys agree by hitting that like button. Comment down below if there's anything you think we forgot here. And hopefully streamers can relax a little bit and start realizing that not everything is for them. Okay?